what are the nature of some of your doubts that you may have about God? Well, for some of us, it's an intellectual doubt that goes something like this. I have a hard time believing that God really did all those miracles that we read about in the Bible. It just seems impossible. Well, if so, you are definitely not alone. In fact, one of Jesus' closest followers had similar doubts. And so we're going to look at the book of John, chapter 20, verses 24 through 28, and the story of what we call doubting Thomas. And here's how it reads. Now Thomas, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Intellectually speaking, Thomas simply could not wrap his mind around the fact that Jesus conquered the grave by rising from the dead. And that troubled him. He wanted physical proof of Jesus' resurrection. And so what we see is that his doubts, his feelings, actually shaped what he believed about God rather than allowing the promises that Christ had given him to shape the nature and the outworking of his doubts, feelings, and struggles. You may say, quite honestly, well, I wish Jesus would just show up to me like that and show me his hands and then I would believe. Well, it sounds quite simple, but think about this. I mean, one, if that happened, what would that say about our faith? Would faith be required at all? And really, would we really actually believe in the way that God desires us to? And second is this, God is the creator and we are the creation. And who are we as the creation to really lay out the terms to God on the grounds in which we will believe? And ultimately, it comes down to this. We can be very genuine and real in our intellectual doubts, and we can express them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think God's desire is this, as it was with Thomas, that in the midst of our doubts, we actually run to him and express them and allow him to interpret them through his word, rather than sweeping them under the rug and running away.